Imagine a world without language. What would it be like to navigate life without the ability to convey complex thoughts or emotions? Could civilizations even exist without communication? Language is one of humanity's most powerful tools, the very foundation upon which human civilization has been built. While many animals communicate through sounds, gestures, and signals, none have developed complex systems of language that humans have. Language allows us to express ideas, to share knowledge, and most importantly, to preserve and shape the future. One of the most important leaps in human history was the invention of writing. It transformed language into something more permanent, allowing knowledge to be passed down through generations. Kings and emperors used it to document their reigns, record laws, and expand their influence across vast empires. In this video, we'll explore how language and communication have not only shaped human civilization, but continue to evolve in our rapidly changing world. From the origins of language in early human societies to the power of modern communication, language remains central to the human experience. Let's start by looking back, way back, to the very beginning. How did language come to be? Humans are not alone in their ability to communicate. From birds to dolphins to bees, many species have developed sophisticated ways of sharing information. Bees, for example, perform intricate dances to teach each other where to find the nectar. Dolphins use clickers and whistles to navigate the ocean and communicate with one another. But human language is something different. It's not just about conveying simple facts or immediate needs. It's about creating meaning. The big difference between human language and animal communication is our ability to talk about things beyond the present moment. We can discuss abstract ideas, hypothetical scenarios, and events that aren't happening right now. This capacity for abstraction is what allowed humans to develop advanced tools, coordinate group activities like hunting, and eventually build entire civilizations. But where did language come from? There are many theories. Some scholars, like Noam Chomsky, believe that the ability to use language is hardwired into our brains. According to Chomsky's theory of universal grammar, humans are born with an innate capacity for language, a kind of language instinct that sets us apart from other animals. This theory suggests that a genetic mutation may have triggered the evolution of language in our species, giving early humans a unique advantage. Others believe that language evolved gradually as humans needed more complex ways to communicate with one another, starting with gestures and evolving into sounds and symbols. Whatever the case, one thing is clear. Once language emerged, it dramatically changed the ways humans interacted with the world. It enabled early humans to form social bonds, share knowledge, and pass down cultural traditions from one generation to the next. In fact, some anthropologists argue that it was language, not just tools of fire, that allowed humans to rise to dominance over the natural world. And while it may seem obvious to us now, language didn't just appear overnight. It likely evolved slowly, hand in hand with our growing ability to think, plan, and cooperate, our cognitive functions. This brings us to the next key development, the invention of writing. Imagine a world where memory was the only way to record history. Before writing was invented, this was the reality. Knowledge, stories, laws, they all had to be passed down orderly from the one person to the next. But around 5,000 years ago, in Mesopotamia, everything changed. The Sumerians developed the first known writing system. Cuneiform revolution. The first time was history to be recorded. Writing soon spread to other parts of the world. each civilization developing its own unique system. The Egyptians used hieroglyphs to document religious texts and royal decrees, while the ancient Chinese developed one of the world's largest lasting writing systems. Even in the Americas, the Maya created intricate glyphs to record their calendar and history. But writing wasn't just a tool for preserving history, it was a tool of power. Kings and emperors used writing to solidify their rule and spread their influence. By writing down laws, leaders could control vast empires and maintain order. This was especially true in societies where most people were literate. The few who could read and write held enormous power. Fast forward to the 15th century, the invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg marked the beginning of a new era. Until then, books were painstakingly copied by hand, making them rare and expensive. The printing press changed all of that, making it possible to produce books quickly and affordably. Suddenly, knowledge was no longer the exclusive domain of the elite. Ideas could spread like wildlife. The printing press fueled the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the scientific revolution. It gave rise to thinkers like Martin Luther, whose writings sparked the Protestant Reformation, and Galileo, who changed the Catholic Church's view of the universe. Writing became a tool for revolutionaries and reformers, who used it to spread ideas that could shape the modern world. Today, writing is more accessible than ever. From books to blogs to social media posts, the written world continues to shape the way we think, communicate, and connect. But writing also has the power to divide. And this is where language takes on a new dimension, both a tool of unity and of division. Throughout history, language has been a powerful tool for uniting people. A shared language allows people to communicate more easily, build communities, and form national identities. Take France, for example. Before the reign of Louis XVI, the French language was fragmented, with different regions speaking vastly different dialects. Under Louis XVI, a standardized version of French was promulgated as language of the court and government, helping to unify the country. Language also plays a crucial role in international cooperation. Diplomats, scientists, and traders rely on common language to communicate across borders. In today's world, English has become the global lingua franca, the go-to language for business, science, and diplomacy. But language isn't always a force of unity. During the age of the colonization, European powers imposed their language on the peoples they conquered. In many cases, this led to suppression or even eradication of indigenous languages and cultures. From Africa to the Americas, colonizers used language as a tool of control, often forcing native populations to abandon their own language in favor of the colonizers' tongues. Today, many of these languages are at risk of being lost forever, but there are efforts on the way to preserve and revive them. Language revival movements, like those in Wales or among the Maori in New Zealand, are working to restore languages that were nearly erased by colonization. The politics of language are still very much alive. In Canada, for instance, there's an ongoing tension between English and the French speakers, while in India, the government must navigate the linguistic dimension of a country with 22 official languages. Language can bring people together, but it can also drive them apart. Language is more than just a tool for communication. It's also deeply intertwined with the way we think and perceive the world. The relationship between language and the thought has fascinated philosophers and scientists for centuries, leading to one of the most intriguing questions in linguistics. Does the language we speak shape the way we think? This idea at heart of Spiro-Wolfe hypothesis, which suggests that structure of a language can influence the speaker's perception of reality. For example, the Hopi people, a Native American tribe, have no grammatical distinctions between the past, present, and future in their language. Some linguistics have argued that this might affect the way they preserve time, seeing it as more fluid and interconnected than in languages like English, which have strict tense distinctions. Cultures around the world have developed languages with unique features that seem to shape their worldview. Take the Pura tribe in the Amazon, whose language lacks specific terms for numbers beyond 1 or 2. Instead, they use terms that mean few or many. Some researchers believe that this absence of precise numerical terms could influence the ability to engage with concepts of large quantities or arithmetic. But does language truly limit what we can think about, or does it merely reflect the way we interpret the world? It's a debate that continues to this day. What's clear, though, is that language can influence how we approach certain concepts, from time and space to colors and emotions. Language also plays a key role in how we express and process emotions. Words allows us to articulate our deepest fears, desires, and experiences. Without the ability to communicate our emotions, we might struggle to connect with others or even understand ourselves fully. Some cultures have words for emotions that don't directly translate into other language. The German word Schweinefreude, for example, describes the pleasure derived from another person's misfortune. Or the Japanese word Natsukachi evokes a bittersweet feeling of nostalgia. This linguistic nuisance offers us unique windows into the emotional worlds of different cultures. But what happens when language is taken away? For those suffering from conditions like aphasia, which often occurs after a stroke, the ability to communicate through language can be severely impaired. Without words, they may struggle to convey even simple thoughts or emotions. This highlights just how essential language is, not only to communicate, but to our very sense of self. Beyond individual impressions, humans are social creatures. We rely on communication for connection, and a lack of interaction can have profound effects on our mental well-being. Studies have shown that isolation, whether from a lack of language, social interaction, or both, can lead to loneliness and even mental health issues like anxiety and depression. It seems that language isn't just a tool for survival, but a crucial part of what we make as humans. As we look towards the future, it is clear that language and communication are evolving faster than ever before. The digital age has introduced entirely new ways of interacting with one another, transforming not only how we speak, but also how we think about communication itself. Take digital communication, for example. In just a few decades, we've gone from handwritten letters to instant messages, from phone calls to video chats. And it's not just the medium that's changing. The language itself is evolving. Texting, social media, and memes have given rise to a whole new lexicon. Abbreviations like LOL and BRB have become everyday phrases, while emojis and GIFs are being used to convey emotions and idea translation algorithms. AI is becoming an increasingly important part of how we communicate. In fact, programs like Google Translate and ChatGPT are already able to process and generate language in ways that were unimaginable just a few years ago. But while AI can stimulate human conversation, can it ever truly understand language the way we do? Language isn't just about words. It's about context, emotion, and nuance. AI can process data and generate responses, but there's still a long way to go before it can replicate the full depth of human communication. Look even further ahead. Some futurists speculate that we might one day move beyond spoken and written language altogether. Technologies like brain-computer interference could make it possible to communicate directly from mind to mind, bypassing words entirely. Imagine being able to share your thoughts, feelings with someone instantly without the need for translation or explanation. But as exciting as this sounds, it raises new questions. Will we lose if we no longer needed languages? Would we sacrifice the richness of storytelling, the joy of crafting of beautiful sentence, or the subtlety of spoken communication? Would you miss the feeling of cracking out a text by yourself? On a more immediate level, Globalization is already transforming the linguistic landscape. English has become the global language of business, science, and entertainment. But as English continues to spread, smaller languages education to suit new technologies, or will we reach a point where language itself evolves onto something entirely new? Only time will tell. But as one thing's for sure, as long as humans exist, the need to communicate, to express ideas and emotions will remain at the heart of who we are. From its origins in the prehistorical past to the digital age and beyond, language has been humanity's greatest tool. It's allowed us to connect, collaborate, and create civilizations. Writing has enabled us to document our experience and pass down knowledge through the ages. While modern communication technologies have made it possible to reach across the globe in an instant, but language is more than just a tool. It's a reflection of who we are. It shapes our thoughts, our identities, and our relationships. As we look to the future, it's worth remembering that while technology may change the way we communicate and ourselves through the stories we tell. Thank you for watching.